Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news, and we're going to be talking about Bellingham, Sancho, Zakaria, and a couple of other things this morning as well. Quite big developments around Sancho and Bellingham, to be fair. But I tell you what, I'm still buzzing. What a night last night was on the Manchester United career mode on That's Football. I've left the link in the video description if you haven't seen it. I don't watch myself play FIFA back. Last night, I watched that Manchester derby back and was thoroughly entertained. Absolutely stunning. If you don't like FIFA or whatever, you've got to check this career mode out. It was just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I can't wait for the next episode. But in reality, whatever our reality is at the moment, I'm living mine through FIFA, of course. Let's talk about Manchester United. Let's talk about the latest news. Now, Jadon Sancho, this is reports coming in from Italy that Juventus are interested in Jadon Sancho, and Sancho wants a move in July. Now, the traditional July would have been finishes the season at Dortmund, goes with England to the Euros, finishes in July, free time, kick back, get your move, start the season in August. That July thing is somewhat movable at the moment, as we know. But in relation to Sancho, Juventus interested, but they're reporting over there that the chances of him coming to Juventus are very slim unless Sancho says, I want to go to Juventus. Very much looking like a Premier League move. And obviously Manchester United, definitely one of the front runners for him. John Terry's come out and said that he'd welcome Sancho at Chelsea. Sancho, I believe, is a Chelsea fan. And that old battle again of Chelsea and Manchester United for that fourth spot, I think will have a massive impact on what happens. We saw Rashford sort of flirting a little bit with Sancho on social media yesterday, and we've seen Sancho flirting with Manchester United a lot recently over the last year, whether it's Man United shirts in the background or whatever. And he definitely has a good relationship with people like Rashford and Lingard when he was decent in the England squad. And if you are a footballer, I don't care what anybody says, I know haters are going to hate, but if you are a footballer and you're thinking about a club to go to, you're going to go Manchester United unless you really have an absolute obsession to go elsewhere in England, because Manchester United is the biggest club in England. We're not the best club in England, we know that. We're the biggest club in England. We are the club everyone reads about. We are the club every mainstream media outlet is obsessed about. We are the club that if you are interested in music, fashion, etc., and building something away from football, which I think people get a little bit het up about, Lingard's done it. But I think the issue with Lingard is his performance on the pitch, and to Pogba a certain extent as well. But if you are a performer on the pitch, David Beckham was the archetype, really, because David Beckham was the first player really in the Premier League era to go and build a brand away from football. But as Roy Keane said, I would have pulled him up if I ever saw him dropping off on the pitch, but he was always one of the best trainers there. Yes, he had his stuff off the pitch, which I didn't agree with, but he was always good on the pitch. And Beckham always had that perfect synergy of brilliant on the pitch and an amazing whatever off the pitch in relation to the Adidas stuff or whatever. So it's not a problem. And I think that's the ideal for some footballers. And maybe Jadon Sancho wouldn't mind doing that. And if you want that, then Manchester United is the place to do it because brand awareness is huge. But football platform as well, what a project Manchester United is. Bruno has seen that. You come into Manchester United, you do something, you get a lot of credit for it, but the team's nowhere near where it can be. Sancho could be looking at that and going, look, I can come in, that team has got potential, I can make it better, and I can be one of the players that makes it better. Like Timo Werner said the other week, you look at projects, do I want to stay at Leipzig, or do I want to go to a club that's already established and winning things like Liverpool, or do I want to go to a big club who's not doing it at the moment and make it a team to do that? And I think that is an attraction to ambitious footballers. So it's going to be interesting with Sancho. I still think Manchester United are leading that race basically because I think we will get top four and Champions League football, and then I think we get the deal done. So keep your eye on the Sancho thing. The reality is Sancho wants to leave Dortmund, doesn't he? If you read between the lines, Sancho wants to leave Dortmund. I think unless this wider pandemic shuts the transfer market down in the summer and no one does any business, I think Sancho leaving Dortmund is a cert. It's just where he's going to go. And at the moment, you know what? I would be very confident it's going to be Manchester United because I think we're on the rise at the moment. And I hope that continues. Talking about another player and talking about Dortmund as well, Jude Bellingham, Birmingham City midfielder, 16 years of age, over 30 games in the Championship. We've read this out a few times now. But an interesting story coming out overnight that Dortmund are absolutely obsessed with getting Bellingham. And Dortmund are very good at signing these sorts of younger players. They did it with Haaland. They've done it with numerous other players. getting them there, increasing their value, giving them first team game time. So it works for the player and it works for the club. And Dortmund are always a club that's near the top of the Bundesliga in the Champions League. So, this is a battle I want to win. But if you're a young footballer, I mean, Sancho did it. If you're a young footballer, Dortmund, what's not to like apart from it's not in your country? Germany, one of the best leagues in the world. Dortmund, always up there. Dortmund, always in the Champions League. Dortmund will give you first-team football. Haaland went straight in. Sancho, more or less, went straight in. Pulisic came over from America. He got in. There is a platform and a blueprint to do well there. And Bellingham could well take that option. What they're saying is that the financial package for Dortmund are offering Bellingham is better than Manchester United. And maybe this is why there is this fear that Dortmund could win the race because the financial package is better, which is somewhat concerning why we would be losing out on a financial package to Dortmund. We shouldn't be doing that. Now, the hope is that Bellingham wants to stay in England and Manchester United is the dream and he will come to Manchester United. And there is still very much that possibility. And this would be a massive sign. It's not as big as Sancho because I think Sancho is going to be one of the top 5 players in the world. But Bellingham, he has the potential to be one of the best midfielders in the world in 5 years' time. So this would be a massive, massive signing for Manchester United if they can get it over the line. Little bit concerned that the financial package is not that of Dortmund's. This, you take it away from Solskjaer, you take it away from the player. It's about the club. It's about the way the club is run again. And I think the fears within the fan base are still, the jury is very much out on the Glazers and Woodward and the structuring of the club and how we do deals. Yes, Chong signed the new contract, but the talk is that Chong signed the new contract because no one would give him the contract that he wanted elsewhere. Gomez hasn't signed a contract yet. We could see Angel Gomez walking out the door of Manchester United because we haven't given him what he thinks he's earned. Somebody else might give it him. Chong, they didn't, and Chong signed the contract. Gomez could walk out because someone will give him the money, we won't. And again, is this a demonstration that Manchester United, we saw it with Bruno Fernandes, we've seen it a lot, taking a long time on deals to save money. That Bruno deal should have been done at the start of January. It went right to the end to save a little bit of money. And look, it's a bargain. He was a bargain at 47 million. I said he was worth 60. Realistically, he was probably worth 70 or 80. But with these sort of players, young talents, whether it's Gomez or Bellingham or Haaland, I think you've got to go that little bit extra because what the benefit they will be in the future. I mean, Bellingham's English and he's 16. He could be at our club for 10 years and get better and better in that time. So, look, I hope Jude Bellingham's going to come to Manchester United. I think it's the best move for him and the best move for us. But that financial package that Dortmund are offering, as well as the blueprint Dortmund are offering, it could well be an issue. Third player I want to talk about is Dennis Zakaria, another player in Germany. The Germany effect today, really, isn't it? Borussia Mönchengladbach, they're 4th in the Bundesliga at the moment. They are going for Champions League football themselves. They do feel that they can keep hold of Zakaria if they do that. I mean, he's 23 years of age. He's a midfielder. He's played over 20 times for Switzerland. So not a lot of people will know a lot about him, but he is a young player. But I think he's one of those players, again, that could come straight into a Manchester United team and take that next step. He's not like Samori, who's at Lille, who's a little bit younger. He is a player is playing high-level football in Germany and ready to come into make that step up. Now, Mönchengladbach think they can keep him if they get Champions League football. Maybe they can, £40 million. What I would say about Zakaria, and I'm not going to profess to say I've seen loads and loads of him, but he can play as a CDM and does play as a CDM, but he probably splits that role if you look over the last season. CDM, centre midfield. One of his traits really is the way he is on the ball. He's a good carrier of the ball. Now, when I think of United, what we need, do we need another Fred who can play CDM, but actually is a good carrier of the ball, tenacious, whatever, very, very good player for us? Or do we need an Ndidi, a Kante, and I know Kante can play that role, a Jorginho, a Fernandinho, a Fabinho, that sort of player who will sit in front of the back four, who's not wanting to carry the ball, who will take the ball off the back four, feed it backwards and forwards, run the midfield, break up the play. Yes, tenacious. Yes, quick. Yes, very good on the ball. But I think Zakaria, the only thing that concerns me is he a little bit too much like Fred? Is he a little bit too much wanting to get involved in the build-up play, which I don't think that's what we need. We've got Bruno. We've got Pogba at the moment. He could be replaced with a Grealish or a Maddison. We've got Fred. We've got Matic on, who's on the, he's not getting any younger. And we've got McTominay. We don't really know whether McTominay's going to be that CDM or whether he's going to be the more box-to-box. Now, if we're buying Zakaria as a box-to-box who can play CDM, it's good. And I do think McTominay has got the potential to be the sort of Michael Carrick CDM. The passing range of McTominay is very, very good. Has he got the discipline to sit? And United need a player who's got that discipline to sit. We need a specialist CDM. We don't need a CDM who can play CDM, but also likes to play box-to-box. We need a specialist CDM. And I'm not 100% convinced that Zakaria is the specialist. As many people would say, in the dream ticket would be a Thomas Partey or an Ndidi. I think those two are the players. I mean, look, I've said it before. I'll say it again. If we're raiding Leicester, I'd move away from Maddison. I'd get Grealish and I'd go for everything for Ndidi. He's the one. He is the one. And I don't know why. And somebody's going to get Ndidi. And I don't know why it's not us. Because he's the player, when you look at his age, Ndidi makes Leicester tick. Like Kante made Leicester tick. He is the player that when you take him out of the Leicester side, Leicester aren't as good. He is the player that United should be looking for from Leicester. And I'd love to be saying United are in for Ndidi, but we just don't seem to be even considering it. But he is the player. And whether Spurs get him or Arsenal get him, or maybe, I don't think Liverpool would go for him at the moment. Maybe Man City will go for him because Fernandinho's not getting any younger. He is the player. He is the player United should be looking at. That's what I believe anyway. Anyway, get your comments in below about Sancho, about Bellingham and Zakaria and what you think about that. We are live at 8 o'clock tonight as usual. Sunday night live show, the flagship show. Got some really good topics to talk about tonight. Looking forward to that, live and interactive. Can't beat the live stuff. But as I said, make sure today, it's Sunday, you might not have as much to do as normal. Try and stay inside and isolate. And so many people out there. I'm going to do a Going for Goldbridge later. I'm going to really let rip about that, but I don't want to get into the football stuff. But Manchester United career mode. Look, you don't need to like FIFA to watch it. I was watching it like match of the day last night. That Man City game, but the two games before it, but the Man City game just give it a watch. Link in the video description. Go and watch it now. Tell me you don't enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Links in the video description for that. Go and watch that career mode. You'll get hooked and you'll love it. Speak to you soon.